Hey there. Why were you so like timid in that one?
I don't know.
I don't know
Kate.
either. And I'm Bradley.
This is History Buffoons.
Hello.
How was your day?
It was good. I worked, and then I worked more on different stuff. I feel like I have been working all day because I've been up since 3:30.
Hey, it's been almost 12 hours.
Oh, thanks for putting it in perspective.
Yes, you're welcome.
I don't like that.
I had a massage yesterday.
Yeah.
By a coworker, and it was a very good massage. I enjoyed it immensely. But I am very sore today.
Are you?
I'm not. So I asked for like medium to firm pressure.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a wimp because I was like, go back to medium, go back to medium.
Not the firm, not the firm. That's funny.
So I know what not to do next time.
Well, at least you know for you, even though you said you like to give more firm, deep tissue type massages, right?
I got to perform a firm to deep tissue this morning, and
nice.
It was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
And he said that there were techniques in there that no one's done for him ever before.
Well, that's good.
Yay!
Positive feedback.
I'm happy about it.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently he wants to tell me that this is being recorded. Yes, I know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Much obliged.
So we are recording this over Zoom.
We are.
Because we can't always meet up.
Correct.
So if the audio sounds different, I don't know if it would sound different, but that is why.
Well, I'll do my best to make it sound like we're in the same room still.
Psych.
Okay.
So.
What the Oh, my word.
So Bradley does all of the editing for us. And,
I do.
And he's doing all the website stuff for us.
With a little bit of assistance from you.
Yeah. And I'm doing all the, more of the research and the social media stuff. So I think we've kind of split it down pretty good 50-50, I think.
Well, we're trying. I mean, we don't want to make one person do more than they have to. It's a collaborative effort. We want to both. We both enjoy doing this, so we both want to put our best efforts in. So
yeah,
we've
I'm
kind
not
of.
Really
go ahead. Yep.
Well, I'm not really a social media person.
I'm not either. I'm probably even less than you. So.
Yeah, so that's been interesting. I've got a 21-year-old coworker, and I'm like, how do you do this thing on Instagram? She's like, you just hit this button, Kate. That's all you do. There's just one button.
Seriously, just a button.
Just a button.
Well, I mean, if you're not used to it, how would you know that, though?
No, I mean, I grew up with Facebook, so I know more about Facebook than anything else, but
I grew up
Instagram,
with MySpace.
Yeah. I actually didn't do a ton of MySpace. I had a little bit, but...
Tom was my friend.
Tom?
If you don't know, you have to look that up.
Oh.
Tom was everybody's friend. He's the one who created it.
Oh, it's like the guy who's on Facebook, who's everybody's friend. I don't know.
I don't think Mark Zuckerberg's everybody's friend.
There's somebody. Maybe it's MySpace that I'm thinking of, and I just don't remember.
That's what it was.
Which is par for the course.
Yeah, she doesn't. Okay. She doesn't remember a lot. I'm surprised she remembered to do this today.
It's in my calendar.
Oh yeah.
Twice.
It's
in my phone calendar and it's my written calendar.
That's a lot of calendars.
Yeah, double whammy.
Double whammy. Well, okay then, double whammy girl.
Yeah.
What do you got for us today?
I've got a story for you.
I have ears to listen to this story. And a mouth to interject.
Great. Okay.
Great.
So we are doing a story. I'm doing a story on 3 different midnight rides from the 1770s.
You had mentioned this briefly to me, so I'm excited to learn about these midnight rides.
Yeah. So this takes place during the American Revolution, which I knew nothing about. So naturally, I wanted to learn a little bit, and it's very, very interesting. And then I tried to look up some like documentaries and things on it, and there just wasn't any like good choices.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of choices on the American Revolution. It's a pretty
like none that like none that like grasped my interest. I couldn't even watch The Patriot online or on TV.
That isn't a historical document. That's a movie.
I know, but it's still entertainment.
Well, I get that, but just just want to make sure you didn't think that was like a documentary.
No, I knew that.
Mel Gibson
but
is
I would have liked
actor.
to have been entertained by it.
Are you not entertained? Okay, sorry. Anyways.
Are you not entertained? Okay, anyway. So we are going to start with the Midnight Rides of 1775. So picture this.
I'm picturing it.
So the year is 1775, and we are in colonial Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Okay, so winters are super long, harsh. Summers are hot, humid. Sounds like everywhere else in the United States.
Yeah, especially right now. Holy balls.
But the coloniist homes were modest. So they were made of wood with a stone foundation. And they had chimneys kind of in the center of their house, kind of like the heart of the home for heating and cooking purposes.
Sure.
The children back then often helped with daily chores. Young men went out in the field with their fathers. The girls stayed inside and learned domestic skills, and they helped take care of the other children as well.
Okay.
The women were essential in the family's survival. So they would cook and clean, tend to the gardens, make clothing, and they would also help their husbands out in the field. And then they would even help financially sometimes. Some of the wealthier women would manage estates, and the poor women might spin and sell yarn. And they would also work in small shops.
Okay.
The men had occupations like farmer, blacksmiths, shoemakers, carpenters. In larger towns, you'd also find like doctors, lawyers, and ministers.
Sure.
Okay, so that's kind of like the time frame that we're looking at and what life in colonials were.
Okay.
So in 1775, there was a lot of discontent with British rule in the American colonies. And they had been simmering for over a decade, and it was kind of reaching like a boiling point. So there were some key factors that fueled their outrage. So the biggest thing is taxation.
Yep, that was pretty much the start of most of it, right?
Yeah, so they argued that the British Parliament was imposing taxes on them, such as the Stamp Act and the Townshend Act, without giving them any representation in Parliament. They just said, you have to do what I say. You don't get any say in it.
What was the Townshend Act?
The Townshend Act imposed taxes on imported goods.
Okay.
Like glass, lead, paint, paper, tea. And it also established stricter revenue collection procedures. And then the Stamp Act was an act required the colonists to pay a tax represented by a stamp on various forms of papers, documents, and playing cards, of all things.
That's
it
odd.
It was a direct tax imposed by the British government without the approval of colonial legislatures, and it was payable in hard-to-obtain British sterling rather than colonial currency.
Well, yeah, why make it easy?
Yeah, exactly. So they all felt that they didn't have a say in any of these changes. So the colonists had a level of self-government themselves in their own colonial legislatures, but the British were increasingly trying to tighten control and restrict their autonomy. So this also included the stationing of British troops in the colonies, which many colonists saw as a threat.
Well, yeah, because all of a sudden you got soldiers around you.
Mm-hmm. There were also economic restrictions. There was a British policy called the Navigation Act, which limited the colonists' ability to trade freely with other countries.
Okay.
So it was promoted and developed by English ships and shipping. So English this and English that, right?
Well, I mean, we all were technically all the people who started here English at one point, so I understand it, but we were trying to get too comfortable without them.
There was also a philosophical.
Button heads?
Yeah, but like, what's the word for that? A philosophical, like clash.
Sure.
Clash in philosophical ideals. Anyway, you can edit that part out.
I might keep that in. You never know. Stay tuned, folks.
So the colonists were increasingly influenced by Enlightenment ideals like liberty, self-government, and the right to consent to government. And these ideas clash with the tyranny of British rule.
Damn tyranny.
So in 1777, there was a clash between British troops and colonists in Boston that resulted in the death of several colonists.
Yeah.
And this event heightened tensions and fueled anti-British sentiment. And that was called the Boston Massacre.
Yep.
Then in 1773, there was a protest by colonists against a certain act. The act granted the company the right for a ship. Nope.
What year did the Boston Massacre take place in?
1770.
Okay.
So in 1773, there was a protest by colonists, and the act granted the company the right to ship something directly to the colonies without first landing it in England.
Something.
And to commission agents who would have the sole right to sell this in the colonies. That was so obscure, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Tea?
That would happen in 1773.
The tea? Boston Tea Party?
Yeah, the Boston Tea Party.
Stupid Townsend Act.
Yeah, so there's a Tea Act.
Yeah. And
the company had the right to ship its tea directly to the colonies without first landing it in England. Okay. And to commission agents who had the sole right to sell tea in the colonies. So there was a protest by the colonists against the Tea Act. So they dumped 342 crates of tea into the Boston harbor.
Man, it would have been, if you like tea, it would have probably been pretty delicious to go swimming. Do you like tea?
I like black tea and hearty black tea.
Oh, yeah. I know you like black tea. I don't like tea. Tea is not my thing.
I also like iced tea.
So I would have just been part of dumping it.
Yeah.
Not because, damn you, government, just because this sucks.
I hate tea. I don't need this tea.
I don't need your tea. Give me water. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
So those grievances and events led to the rise of a strong movement for independence. There were leaders like Samuel Adams, John Adams, and Patrick Henry, who advocated for self-government and separation from Britain. There was also a group called the Sons of Liberty, which organized protests and boycotts against British goods.
Okay.
So by 1775, the colonists were no longer willing to passively accept British rule. There were battles in Lexington and Concord in April 1775, and that marked the start of the Revolutionary War.
Sure did.
Okay. So let's go to the evening of April 18th, 1775.
1775?
We're talking nighttime.
1775? It sounded like you said 7075.
The nighttime of April 18th, 1775.
All right.
1775. So
Sorry.
a man named Robert Newman, who was a caretaker of Boston's Old North Church, which still stands.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous.
My family took a trip to Boston out east. I should say out east. Boston was a stop on the whole trip. When I was 14, so 30 years ago. And yes,
Do you remember what month of the year?
It was in August.
Nice.
So like I said, 30 years ago. Because my mom bought me an early birthday present, which was a book. So that was a book. And
What was the book on?
It was I think it was a Star Wars book, actually. But I remember she wrote the date in it. And it was, I don't remember August what, but it was August, 94. So.
Your memory for dates is astounding.
And it's funny because I can remember a lot of dumb shit like that, but there's certain things I don't know.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah.
But yeah, no,
So,
I've been there, and we went to a whole bunch of good old, I don't know, historic sites in that area. My really good family friend, one of my dad's best friends, they grew up in Wisconsin. They met when they went to college in Whitewater, but he lived out in Boston for quite a long time before they moved out to California, and they had since moved at this point, but they still knew a lot of people, obviously, from Boston, and they hooked us up with one of their friends to stay at their house. It was like the coolest fucking house ever. It was a 3-story old ass house, and the middle floor had a library, like by the stairwell and stuff. It was super cool.
You would have loved that.
It was great. So I had a lot of fun staying there, and they were excellent people. I cannot for the life of me remember their names, but I can remember when I saw them. But anyway, sorry.
Okay, so Robert Newman, the caretaker of the Boston's Old North Church, used a lantern signal to warn colonists in Charlestown of the British Army's advance. So where he is in Boston and where Charlestown is just over the Charles River. So it's actually fairly close, even though there's a river separating them.
Sure, but I was going to ask, like, how damn close was that to see that light?
Yeah.
Okay.
So leader of the Sons of Liberty, that organization, was Dr. Joseph Warren. He assigned Mr. Paul Revere
Paul,
to alert the Minutemen of the British Army's advance. So the Minutemen are the militia who could be ready in a minute's notice. Right, so they just called it Minutemen.
Makes sense.
The British are coming.
Jesus. Yep.
So Revere rode on horseback to warn John Hancock and Samuel Adams in Lexington, which is about 10 miles away. He also alerted up to other 40 Patriot riders along the way.
Okay.
So he's just probably shouting, and the horse is probably like, dude, we get it. The British is coming.
Like, can I stop for some hay?
Dr. Joseph Warren also assigned William Dawes, another member of the Sons of Liberty, to ride from Boston to Lexington on the night of April 18th, 1775. So William Dawes and Paul Revere rode together.
So they both went to Lexington?
Yes, at the same exact time. Yeah.
They sent two just in case one didn't make it?
I don't know.
Have a backup plan?
Or maybe it was like, you get that side of the road, I'll yell at this side of the road.
Yeah, because they won't hear you on the other side of the road. The British are coming. What did he say? Oh, I heard that guy, though. Fuck. All right. Either way.
So Dawes' mission, together with Revere, was to warn John Hancock, Samuel Adams, that they were actually in danger of arrest. Dawes took the land route. Oh, here's the answer.
Oh.
Just had to keep reading.
Wow. All right.
Dawes took the land route out of Boston through the Boston Neck, leaving just before the British sealed off the town. And Revere took another route. So there you go.
Makes more sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they took two different routes.
Well, I mean.
Although I've got an image now of both of them like on horseback.
Yeah.
I'll go to this side. You go to that side of the street.
That's all I'm picturing, which is unfortunate because it's not true. Anyways.
So they both arrived at the Hancock Clark House, which is the childhood home of John Hancock in Lexington, at about the same time, shortly after midnight. So I looked up where all of these were in relation to each other on maps. But if you were to look up where the Hancock Clark house is now, What do you think? What businesses do you think are right around the corner?
Either a bank or a gas station.
There's a Qdoba,
Oh, jeez.
a Walgreens, and a Starbucks.
I was going to say, if there's a Qdoba, there's a Starbucks. So,
Yeah, they're all within walking distance of this historic house.
well, just in case, the Hancock Clarks want to get a refreshment, some food,
It's just
maybe
crazy
some
how
Band-Aids.
I feel like the historical places we should just leave alone and like go build elsewhere, Like,
Yeah, but the problem is a lot of these things aren't like dubs. I mean, those should have been a long time ago, but a lot of historical things aren't like, oh, we should have preserved that until like well after the fact.
yeah.
I mean, that's like going to the pyramids of Egypt and like you think it's in like the middle of the desert, but there's a fucking city right next to it. So
I know,
mean,
it's literally right next to it, and nobody
Yeah.
knows because the other side there's nothing.
well, exactly. So it's unfortunate. Yes, I agree. But unfortunately, some people don't have the foresight to, I don't know, protect that area. And I mean, some do. Like like if you go to the Battle of Gettysburg, no, there's nothing built on that. There's not a Qdoba on that field. So,
Yeah.
but anyways,
So after warning Adams and Hancock to leave, Revere and Dawes proceeded to Concord in case that was the British's goal. And Concord is again it's nearby. It's like 10 miles from Lexington.
sure.
So Revere knew that they had stored munitions there, including cannons, which Dawes had actually helped secure. So along the way, the two men met Samuel Prescott, a young local physician, and he was headed home to Concord from Lexington himself. So upon hearing about their mission, Prescott, who was also a Son of Liberty member, offered to assist Revere and Dawes, pointing out that he was well known in the area and residents would probably be more likely to believe a warning coming from him rather than potential strangers.
Well, that makes sense because otherwise they could be like, yeah, well, who are these jamokes riding down the road saying the British are coming?
Right. Why should we trust them?
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's sound logic, really.
Yeah. As they raced along the road toward Concord, the three riders alerted residents in several Lincoln, Massachusetts houses by banging on doors, so a nearby town.
Mm-hmm.
Their mission was actually cut short near the Concord border in Lincoln as a British patrol was dispatched from Boston the night before to intercept any colonists carrying warnings and caught them.
Well, shit.
Did you know that?
I actually did not know that, no.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So the three men rode in different directions, hoping they would escape. So Dawes, according to the story he told his children, spoiler alert, he lived, rode into...
I had no idea. Weird.
He rode into the yard of a house shouting that he had lured two officers there. So, fearing an ambush, the officers stopped chasing him.
Oh.
So he's being chased, and so he's telling nobody behind this house, like, hey, I've got two of them following me. So, like, pretending that there was somebody there to ambush them.
Well, right.
It's kind of brilliant.
No, that's genius because he's not going to follow me because otherwise he's like, I might get killed.
Yeah. So at that point, Dawes' horse actually bucked him off.
Oh, shit.
And he had to walk back to Lexington. But later that morning, he actually returned to the same yard and found his watch that had fallen from his pocket.
Oh, well done. Did he have a pocket watch?
No, just a watch in a pocket.
I don't know if I like what you did there. I know what you did, but I don't know if I like it. Just saying.
So Prescott, according to Revere's account, took a huge leap with his horse. He steered his horse towards a stone wall, cleared it in a jump, and vanished into thick woods.
Oh, wow.
The encounter, however, resulted in the capture of Revere.
What a dick.
And he was released after questioning because he was just a simple, messenger.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, makes sense, I
don't
guess.
know. I probably would have kept him, I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, but if he didn't
Being
have
a
any
member of the Sons of Liberty who are like adamantly against British
rule,
control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if he didn't have any vital information, what are they going to do with him?
Yeah. So Prescott eventually emerged from the woods and the swamps near Hartwell Tavern. He alerted the Hartwell family. Also, the tavern and the house are still also around.
Is the tavern still a working tavern? Or is it just a historical place?
I did not look into that.
Well, we'll have to look into that later because I'm curious because we should go have a pint there.
Yeah, we should. Oh, that'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
So he alerted the Hartwell family who lived next to the tavern, and they also spread word to others.
Okay.
So the alarm quickly reached Captain William Smith, who was the leader of the Lincoln Minutemen. So hearing the news, Captain Smith ordered the town bell to be rung, summoning his entire company to assemble. So by giving the Minutemen advance warning of the British's actions, the ride played a crucial role in the Patriot victory and the subsequent battles at Lexington and Concord.
Okay.
So the ride had been commemorated in a range of cultural depictions. There was like a poem in 1861 by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow called Paul Revere's Ride, which had shaped the popular memory of the events, but there was no mention of Dawes or Prescott.
What the hell, man?
I know. So, they kind of got lost to history.
Always the bridesmaid.
So, the Battle of Lexington started around 5 a.m. in Concord later that morning.
That's really early to start a fight.
On April 19th, 1775, with the battles of Lexington and Concord marking the start of the war, Dr. Joseph Palmer dispatched Israel Bissell on a critical mission.
Bissell?
Bissell's task was to race through Connecticut, spreading the alarm and urging colonists to join forces with the Massachusetts Minutemen.
Okay.
So he gets his own midnight ride. Israel Bissell.
Just a day later?
Yeah.
Is he part of the Bissell family that makes like vacuums and stuff?
I don't know. Why don't you look that up? Meanwhile,
I'll pass.
His message was known as the Lexington Alarm, and it was addressed to militias across 5 colonies. Bissell left Palmer behind in Watertown and headed towards Worcester, encountering many colonists already on their way to Lexington. I mean, word was spreading fast, right?
Yeah, for even back then, I can imagine that. People are like, let's get our guns, boys.
Yeah. So as he rode, Bissell's cries was, quote, "To arms, the war has begun," end quote. And it echoed through the countryside, prompting townspeople to ring church bells and fire cannons to alert their neighbors.
Oh,
I don't think I would fire a cannon to alert my neighbor, but we also don't know how closely they were to each other.
Well, maybe they were a few feet or a few acres. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
But yeah, I'm like, hold on, I gotta set off my cannon to alert people. Who just has a cannon to alert people?
I don't know, but
who just has a cannon? I mean, I know those are different times.
I think they should go to the front lines, don't you think?
Well, the cannon should.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So Bissell's journey was a pretty grueling one.
Okay.
He averaged 69 miles a day.
Holy
covering
fuck.
a total distance of 345 miles.
That poor horse.
Well, funny you should bring that up.
Okay.
He was given fresh horses along the way.
Oh, so just people are like, hey, this dude's on a mission. Mm-hmm. Let's give him a fresh horse.
Yes. Yes.
So kind of like in Gladiator where he brought a second horse to get back to his family. They just gave him fresh ones when he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no way that horse would have made it that much. 69 miles a day is a lot.
Yeah. So it actually, historians suggest that Bissell's first horse collapsed after the initial leg from Watertown to Worcester.
Okay.
So he had to get a second horse, but then he was getting like fresh ones
throughout his journey. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bissell's route wasn't limited to just Connecticut as was originally planned. He actually went on to New York and Philadelphia, where the seat of the Continental Congress was.
I mean, being from where we are, isn't it funny to like think it's like, holy shit, he went all these places, but it's so close over there. because that's just how it developed.
I know.
Whereas from where we're from, I mean, all you saw as a child was corn, just forever. I just saw some, farms as well, but not as much corn, I guess. But yeah, it's just weird to think.
If I wanted to fly anywhere, I had to drive 3 hours to get to the airport when I lived in Nebraska. So
yeah. So yeah, just think about it in that aspect where everything was so close back then. Even though going 69 miles a day, that's a lot in one fucking day. A lot. So
yeah. So throughout his travels, he faced skepticism from some of the townspeople who feared a false alarm. So to address this, Bissell actually presented the original dispatch from Joseph Palmer. So if you recall, he's the leader of the Sons of Liberty.
Yeah, who sent him on his way, right?
Yeah. And so each stop, he would show the townspeople this dispatch, and they added their own signing, verifying it before moving on.
Sure. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. So news of the conflict spread further as towns printed broadsides and newspaper articles based on the information carried by Bissell. So they're like, get to the presses.
Oh, my God.
Alert the news.
Alert the news. Alert the media. Get on social media and spread this. Wait, that didn't. Social media back then was a newspaper.
I heard a cannon. Get to the presses. Okay, anyway.
Okay, I heard a cannon. Either someone's warning us or they're having a party.
So in New Haven, Connecticut, the dispatch was modified to include an order for Bissell to take the message all the way to Philadelphia.
Okay.
Similarly, in New York, General Alexander McDougall suggested finding a new rider for the final leg. But according to the Sons of the American Revolution, several historians believe Bissell completed the entire journey himself.
Okay.
So from New York, the message continues south through New Jersey before reaching Philadelphia.
But they don't know that for sure. They just think that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kind of a dick move to take it away from him. He already went that far. Let him finish his job, man.
And nobody knows who he is.
Well, hopefully Al does after this.
So this is what happened between April 19th and April 24th.
Okay.
So leaders like Benedict Arnold and Israel Putnam responded to the call. Arnold gathered soldiers in New Haven, including Yale students, while Putnam assembled the Connecticut militia and marched towards Boston.
Okay.
News of the battles reached New York City, sparking a riot. Colonists seized weapons and supplies, closed the port, and joined the militia. By the time word reached Philadelphia, a massive mobilization was underway with thousands marching towards Boston.
Crazy.
So Bissell eventually returned to Connecticut, while copies of the message even went further south to Maryland, North Carolina, and other colonies.
Sure.
So like I said, word just spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
So the American colonists won the battles of Lexington and Concord.
Sure did, motherfuckers.
While the British inflicted more casualties, approximately 273 British casualties versus 95 colonists.
Oh, wow.
The colonists successfully disputed the British plans to seize weapons and supplies. The British were forced to retreat back to Boston, harassed by colonial militia throughout the day.
They're just going to harass them?
Yeah, so as they were retreating, the militia just kept going forward and forward and forward and just causing mayhem.
Sure, that makes sense.
So that was the original, Revere's Midnight Ride of 1775. So now we know that there was Dawes, Prescott, and then Bissell. All of them had their own, midnight ride.
Sure.
So now we're going to fast forward to 1777.
Oh, snap.
The American Revolution is still in effect.
Yeah.
So this is actually a rumor.
So
there's no legit documentation that
no
this happened.
Validity to it, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
It was hearsay essentially.
Gotcha.
So we're 2 years into the war. And the British seized an attack on Danbury, Connecticut.
Okay.
And that is where the armory was located.
Gotcha.
So instead of just taking over the armory, the British troops destroyed as many as 5,000 barrels of pork, beef, and flour, 5,000 pairs of shoes, 2,000 bushels of grain, and 1,600 tents.
Damn.
They also got drunk on rum.
Well, duh.
And while drunk, the soldiers set fire to many of the houses in the buildings.
Well, it's kind of a dick move, but okay.
Well, speaking of that, eventually, the more self-respected British troops said that that day was the most horrific display of the British in all of the war.
Yeah,
Like, they were embarrassed for the British that did it.
I'm not surprised at that, yeah.
So,
Bunch
they
of
made
dicks.
fools of themselves, apparently.
They're like, I'm an American now.
So on April 26th, 1777, so almost
Literally
2 years to the
2 years,
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. We're going to go to the Ludingtons. So there's Henry and his wife and 12 children.
Okay.
Oh, that's a lot.
I mean, I thought having 2 was a lot. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine having 12.
12. Yeah.
Good Lord.
So they were all getting ready for bed on April 26th. So Henry Ludington was actually a colonel and head of the militia in the area. And he also fought in the French and Indian War.
Oh.
A messenger pounded on their door after dark with word that the British troops were in Danbury.
Okay.
So it actually just so happens that the colonel disbanded his troops as it was planting season and they all needed to work on their farms.
Oh, geez. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So the colonel chose to stay home and rally his troops. And his daughter, who was 16, the oldest of 12, volunteered to alert her father's men.
The oldest of 12 was only 16.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Her name is Sybil Ludington.
Hmm.
Now, I have seen her name, Sybil, spelled 3 or 4 different ways.
There's one Sybil.
Yes, and that's how I wrote it, and that's how most of what I see. But every single article that I read mentioned that it's spelled in other ways.
There it is.
Oh, yeah, that took a second.
You got there.
It's because I looked at you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So she gets on top of her horse named Star, and it was
Oh.
actually pretty windy and it was raining that night. And yet she rode 40 miles to alert other militia. And
Okay.
supposedly that was much more than what Paul Revere did.
Fucking Paul Revere rode like 20 miles total.
She grabbed a branch and through the woods and tiny towns banged on all the doors, alerting that the British troops were burning Danbury.
Okay.
400 militiamen under the command of their father assembled. They marched toward Danbury, which was 20 miles away from where they were, where other militiamen by the thousands successfully drove the British troops back to their ships to the Long Island Sound.
Oh.
So the earliest known record of the 1777 account of Sybil's ride came in 1854
Okay.
from Sybil's nephew,
Oh.
Charles H. Ludington.
Okay.
And he sought to have his aunt recognized as a hero.
Sure.
But there's literally no diary, there's diaries that she wrote during that time, and nothing was ever mentioned about her ride that night.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like if it was her own diary, she would have said,
I would think so.
I did this. I mean,
Yeah, I would think so.
most people would recount their day, not
Yeah.
just be like, well, then I took a shit. I mean, why wouldn't you put that in there? You know, it's like, okay. Anyways,
I went to the outhouse.
it was glorious.
Glorious
Bit,
outhouse.
bit windy though. Anyways,
So, Ludington, Sybil, was included in an 1880 book about the New York City area by a local historian named Martha Lamb.
okay.
So a brief reference later appeared in the 1907 memoirs. Yep, the 1907 memoirs written
There it is.
by Willis Fletcher Johnson, about Sybil's father and published privately by his grandchildren.
Okay.
So again, there's just no like legitimate
Documentation.
reference. Yeah.
Okay. So that's why it's all just hearsay. They're like,
Yeah.
we're pretty sure this happened, but we can't prove that it happened.
Right.
Kind of thing. Okay. So
in Connecticut, they actually have a statue of her, and they have markers of her trail, essentially, in hopes that it's real. I don't know. So,
in hopes.
The American Revolutionary War ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris on September 3rd, 1783. The treaty formally recognized the independence of the United States of America by Great Britain.
Damn right.
So here's a quick little breakdown of the events leading to the treaty. So after initial victories for the colonists, the war became a stalemate. Neither side could achieve like a decisive. Words are hard.
And let's go again. What kind of?
Neither side could achieve a
Decisive?
That's the one.
How are you fumbling that so badly?
I don't know. Decisive. Because I think I'm a little dyslexic at times, where I want to put the V first. So divisive is what I was trying to say.
Divisive? Yeah.
Something.
Don't you think it should be listexic if you're dyslexic?
Listed.
Anyways.
So neither could achieve a military victory.
A decisive victory?
That's right.
Okay, just making sure.
France entered the war on the side of the colonists in 1778, providing crucial military and financial aid. And this significantly impacted the balance of power.
Yeah.
So in 1781, a combined French and American force surrounded a British army under General Cornwallis at Yorktown, Virginia.
Okay.
Facing defeat, Cornwallis surrendered, making a major turning point in the war.
Yeah.
So the surrender at Yorktown led to peace negotiations between the British and the Americans, and they took place in Paris over several years.
Sure.
So the Treaty of Paris was signed on September 3rd, 1783. Hey, September 3rd, our launch date. Hey.
I see the tie-in there.
Hey.
Holy buffoonery.
It was signed on September 3rd, 1783, and the treaty recognized the independence of the United States, established boundaries for the new nation, and addressed issues like debt and prisoner exchange.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the signing of the Treaty of Paris marked the official end of the American Revolutionary War and the birth of the United States as a sovereign nation.
Yep.
And that is the story of I guess it's 4 Midnight Riders.
Holy shit.
Not 3. So there's Revere, Dawes,
Yeah.
Prescott, Bissell, and
Sybil.
Bissell and Sybil.
Yep.
Yeah.
5, damn.
And people only know about Paul Revere.
I only knew about Paul Revere.
Simple poem.
Yeah.
And it was just a poem.
Well, that's what they taught, us in school and stuff. They didn't really talk about the other ones. They just kind of glossed over them completely. Poor people. Shit, we don't even know if Sybil did it.
We don't even know if Sybil did it.
I know. Probably because she was a woman.
I would love to go to that area and walk through all those places. The Hancock Clark House, the tavern, if it's still open for visitors and things.
My guess is it's probably not, but that would be pretty badass if it was.
It would be.
If it was still a working thing, or at least historically working. Obviously, I'd rather have it like it was in 1775 than it would be today. I like older taverns and pubs though.
Yeah.
But
we'll have to go through there and maybe record hey, we're finally here.
Hey, we're on assignment. There you go.
On location with Bradley and Kate, we've got the history buffoons.
Oh, Jesus. I hope you talk like that the whole time, too. Because that won't drive anyone nuts. Specifically me.
we're going to go through the museum, but first I have to go through Starbucks. Let's go for a walk.
Do they have Big B here?
I love Big B
I know you do. You're
the coffee is just so good.
Big fan of Big B. Two G's, folks. Not affiliated with this podcast.
Thankfully, where Big B is versus where I work is a good 15, 20 minutes away. So it's not like super convenient.
It's convenient enough, but not overly convenient, because otherwise you'd probably be walking over there all the fucking time to get another coffee or whatever.
And now they're on DoorDash, which...
Oh, dear. So you can pay even more for them?
No, I refuse.
Well, then don't DoorDash it.
I haven't.
Good.
I didn't say I was.
I'm just saying don't.
Available if I'm like laid up somewhere. And I need that shot of espresso.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I am not a coffee person, people. I drink Mountain Dew to get my caffeine, typically. Yeah. She likes her coffee. My wife loves coffee. I just dropped my pen. And, yeah, I could never get into coffee. The only time I ever drank coffee was when I worked at a gas station at the end of high school, right out of high school. It had shitty ass, I mean, this is, late 90s coffee at a gas station, not like what you can get these days. Well, I mean, no, that's not why. But the only way I would drink it is they had little styrofoam cups and I'd fill it halfway with sugar and just like a smidge of creamer, and then I'd pour coffee in it. It was more like a sludge than it was like a beverage.
It sounds like it.
It was gross, but and then I would, then I'd just buy Mountain Dews the rest of my shift.
Isn't there a website called like Buy Me a Coffee or something?
I think there is actually. Yeah, that sounds right.
Big B, y'all. Big B.
Not affiliated with this podcast.
That'd be great though.
I mean, I'd be okay with it.
I would be so fantastic with that.
Yeah.
They have a sweet foam cold brew mocha, and it's just from the very first sip to the very last, even a day later. Like, it's so good. Yeah,
you're weird. You'll tell me how, I got my coffee. It's just in my car. I'm like, how long has it been there? I don't know, since yesterday. I'm like, is it still good?
I've never said that.
I believe you have. All right, maybe you said it was in the fridge or something. But
yeah, there was one time I left it at work in the fridge, and it was great the next day. It was so good. Oh,
so it's funny that you mentioned the Buy Me a Coffee, because in some of my work today on the podcast, I saw this, and what it is Buy Me a Coffee is the best way for creators and artists to accept support and membership from their fans. So yes, it's an actual thing.
Does it translate into coffee, or is it just money?
I think it's
money
just
is
people.
Accepted and you go.
Yeah, I think people can just donate to your cause or help support
I'd buy coffee
what you're
with
doing.
It.
I don't know if I'd allow that.
Why?
Because I don't want coffee.
I'll buy you a Mountain Dew.
I don't know. That's not what that money would go for, is it?
No.
No.
We're responsible podcasters.
Are we though? This is the first podcast we haven't had a beer on. Do we do a post story beer?
I have no beer.
Oh, that's sad. I do.
Actually, I have a THC beer in the fridge. I'm just scared to drink it.
Don't do that.
Not that I'm pro cannabis and etc.
I am too. To each their own on it.
Yeah. And I don't get drug tested at all, but I don't know. I don't like the way my body is affected by it.
Sure. That makes sense.
So I just don't really do it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't even know if I get drug tested at work, but I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah. You have your old job, it was random testing.
Except it's funny, right before I left there, they had just said that they were going to stop testing for it.
That's right.
Because they don't feel like they didn't feel like they should have faulted someone if like, hey, let's go to, I'm just going to use this because it's close and I know it's legal, Illinois, and smoke some weed because it's legal there, but it's not legal here. And so they were going to actually, I mean, if you are like visibly high at work, they were going to say something.
Right.
But yeah, so
but if it's in your bloodstream from 2 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, it stays with you for at least, 30 days is always the rumor I heard. So whatever it was. But yeah, so people are getting a lot more progressive, even we're in the state we live in, because usually we're really behind the times on stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways.
So all of my resources are going to be in our show notes, but
Huzzah.
I wanted to mention that on our website, historybuffoonspodcast.com, there is a feature that if you click on but if you click on an episode, there is an option to text us.
Yeah.
And it goes to our email, and we can respond to you. I think that is just so cool, and I would love it if people were to chime in.
Yeah, so obviously it's not going to be you're not going to interact live with us because we record these and then put them out. Right. But the cool thing is I have to see, because when I set it up, I'm not sure if it tells you what episode it's being text through or whatever you want. So it'd be kind of cool to just get I guess, interaction on the specific episode. But we want to hear from you anyways. We don't care if it's, this episode or two before or two after, whatever it is. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a neat feature, so I wanted to make sure I added that, and you thought that was pretty awesome. So
yeah, and there's another feature that's pretty fantastic. And if you're on our website, I'm not sure if it's on every page or just the home page, but in the bottom right corner is a little microphone button, and you can voice message us.
Yeah, you could leave us a voicemail.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Be nice, folks. But so there are a couple ways that you can get a hold of us, including our Gmail, which is historybuffoonspodcast@gmail.com. So
it does show up.
Lots of different ways.
The voicemail button does show up on every page when you click on it.
Okay, cool. I think that's so cool. I would love to hear from people. Also, if you have any recommendations on documentaries about the American Revolution, I would love to know what they are.
Yeah,
I can research, of course, but if there are people who are actually, I really enjoyed this one, or this one was not as accurate, etc.
Yeah, that would be great. Great info to have. My oldest brother, I'm sure he still is, but growing up was just a huge fan of the Revolutionary War history. He used to read a lot of shit on it and all that stuff, whatnot. But I liked it. I just never got deep into it, I guess. So that was kind of fun to learn that there was multiple people other than Paul Revere who rode a horse really far to tell people that the British were coming in some sort of fashion. Right. But yeah, so you can text us through each episode. There's a link that says send us a text. You can actually just send us I guess it would be considered an email, and or you can leave us a voicemail, because that'd be kind of fun to hear some people leave some messages and see what they have to say. Hopefully it's good stuff.
Yeah. And we would love it if you would review us.
Yeah.
But we're also just doing this for fun, and I'm learning a lot already.
Unfortunately, she's forgetting it all, but she's learning a lot in the meantime.
The point.
I'm just joking. No, I'm. But I was.
It was a secret.
Did you forget to bring it up? I joke. But no, I've been learning a lot too, so it's been a lot of fun with that. Been having a lot of fun doing this, learning a lot. Not just about history, just about doing this too. So that's been kind of fun. Yeah, and obviously more to come with what we're doing. So,
yeah.
With that being said,
well, I suppose.
I suppose. All right, buffoons, that's it for today's episode.
Buckle up, because we've got another historical adventure waiting for you next time. Feeling hungry for more buffoonery? Or maybe you have a burning question or a wild historical theory for us to explore.
Hit us up on social media. We're History Buffoons Podcast on Reddit, X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also email us at historybuffoonspodcast@gmail.com.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts and turn those notifications on to stay in the loop.
Until next time, stay curious and don't forget to rate and review us.
Remember, the buffoonery never stops.